Today's video is sponsored by Kettle Fire. I'll chat more about why I love using their bone broth in my cooking coming up. Spring is finally here, and I find myself in the garden just as much as I'm in the kitchen now. It's so worth it to be able to grow something yourself, even if it's just a little basil plant on your windowsill, just to be able to bring that in the kitchen with you and cook it and eat it. You experience that food in a whole nother way when you've connected with it like that. I've been experimenting in the kitchen and trying to find new recipes that I can use with all my garden's produce. That way, when it is in and I have lots to work with, it doesn't go to waste, and I know a million different ways of how I can use it. So this superfood salad I'm making is one of them, and I'm using kale, which is one of my favorite greens. This is dinosaur kale, and it's hearty. I just adore the texture. So I'm making a superfood salad full of kale. I'm using lentils, which I've already cooked and had refrigerated overnight so they're nice and chilled. I whipped up a really easy salad dressing, and I'm just going to put a bunch of yummy toppings in here that's going to keep us full and satisfied and give us something cold and refreshing to eat from out of the fridge when we've been working in the garden all day and it's getting really hot outside. So having something refreshing and crisp in the fridge is just what we need. When you're cooking just simple whole foods, you're using the same ingredients like carrots and kale all the time. So it's important to me to find new ways to enjoy them. So this salad has lentils and carrots and nuts and edamame that was frozen and I thawed. And so there's just a lot going on that's full of nutrition, texture, and flavor. Today I simmered my lentils in a little bit of Kettle Fire chicken bone broth. There are 4 main components of high quality bone broth, and that is simmer time, temperature, using real bones, and sourcing the ingredients. So they simmer their bones that are either grass-fed, grass-finished beef, or organic free-range chicken for 14 to 20 plus hours. So it's slow simmered, better than I would do at home. So having Kettle Fire on hand in my pantry is a game changer for sneaking protein and flavor into things like grains and pastas, things we're already cooking, or soups and stews. It's an amazing base for all of those things. There's nothing artificial, and they even use organic vegetables and spices to flavor their broths, and each serving packs 19 grams of protein. So if you're looking to put more flavor and nutrients in your food, you can try it out yourself. Just go to kettleandfire.com and you can use my code HEALTHYELIZABETH20 to get 20% off of your order. So if you want to learn more about bone broth and get your hands on this liquid gold, you can head down to my description box and click the link. We live on just 1/4 of an acre, and I think we've done the best we can do to maximize the space while still leaving room for our kids to run around and play. And I think oftentimes when we live in just normal, regular suburban neighborhoods, we feel like we can't do all the things we see other people doing or that we dream about doing. But truly, if you have a backyard, you can have a garden. You can have those things, and you can just do it on whatever scale you can. But the joy that comes from it really is the same. So we've got the outside garden, which we're currently changing the layout of, really maximizing what we can do in that space. We have the chicken coop and run, and we have a chicken wire fence for them to free range in the back, which I joke and call our pasture. So they still roam around the yard too, and I love giving them different greens and mealworms to snack on. Because we live in a neighborhood, we can only have so many of them. So we have a handful of them, and they give us fresh eggs every day. And it's just so enjoyable, especially for my kids, to get out there and be really hands-on. And even though we don't live on land or have those things, even in our neighborhood, we still have those really wholesome life activities that our kids can be involved in. And it brings us so much joy. So this is really just my encouragement to you that if you've ever wanted a garden, do what you can. And honestly, having something smaller is almost sweeter because you can take better care of it. It's the same way in homemaking. You don't want a huge space that you have to take care of. You want to make sure your space is small enough so you can manage it. I am itching to share with you more garden content, But right now, the only thing that I have finished is the high tunnel. We just finished planting this, me and the family, the other day. And so everything's planted out here for the most part. My kids are gonna be the one tending this, and then I'm gonna tend to the one outside. That's kind of my experimental garden space where I really wanna have hands-on, and then they can have hands-on and free reign in here. I have 2 rows here. This is a 25-foot high tunnel, and we plant both sides of it and then have this big walking path through the middle so we can easily work the beds. They're like each about 3 foot wide, and I jam-packed them full of plants. I purchased this high tunnel a couple years back, and it was a very cost-effective high tunnel. I got it off Amazon. It only cost me a couple $100s compared to normal high tunnels that will cost you normally thousands of dollars. But it's a great way to keep the deer out of your garden and have a more protected space. And it also heats up the ground a lot quicker. So I can get things like peppers and tomatoes and squash in the ground faster. So I have more harvest throughout the year. And I have a row on either side that has some wood timbers just to help keep the soil in place. The first year I didn't do that. I had 3 rows, but I find that you really need a walking path through the center. So I just did wider rows on each side. We've got lots of different plants growing, and my goal with this garden is to have a fresh eating garden more than anything. I love a kitchen garden versus a market style garden where you grow a lot of the same thing in rows. I prefer to have everything intermingled, and I'll tell you why, but I love having a variety of things that we're going to eat, mostly fresh. So that's things like lettuces and kales, different kinds of squashes and peppers and tomatoes. And what has helped me most as a gardener is companion planting and using herbs and flowers to attract beneficial insects and pollinators and keep other pests like aphids and squash bugs away by creating a really healthy and balanced ecosystem in my garden. So I'll share more about this soon as I'm planting my outside beds. Because outside right now, all I have is one bed I've planted with some lettuces and herbs, and this is going to be my wildflower garden. I have several outside beds that I'll be using mostly to eat fresh from. These are seeds I've started myself, so I know they're really high quality. But in the high tunnel, that is extras. That's things for my children to tend to and learn how to garden. So I've kind of switched it up this year. We still have our peach trees, and our cherry trees are fruiting for the first time. So lots going on outside. My kids absolutely adore fruit, and they've been asking for a sweet strawberry treat since strawberries are in season. So I came up with a little idea here, and it's a little bit healthier, but it's still gonna be a really delicious spring dessert. So I'm gonna start by making a graham cracker crust, but I've been eating a lot of gluten-free food, and me and my kids love these Simple Mills little, what are they, sweet thins? They're with honey and cinnamon, but I love them because they're made from a seed and nut flour versus regular graham crackers are made from wheat. And so I'm gonna substitute some of these little crackers that we love to snack on anyway. They're really good. If you haven't tried them, be warned, they're delicious. So I'm gonna use some of those to make a homemade graham cracker crust. I've got a little bit of melted butter. I'm gonna put it in the food processor and then get that into a tart pan. And I'm also gonna do a little bit of a lemon curd creamy filling. So it's gonna have some probiotic cream cheese, a little bit of heavy cream, and we're gonna do a scoop or 2 of lemon curd in there to give it some brightness, some lemon juice, and it's gonna be amazing with those fresh strawberries. Let's see if I can sneak one. So good. I'm starting by adding my healthier graham crackers into a food processor, and I'm just going to pulse those until they're nice and fine. You want them all the way ground up. You don't want to leave any big chunks because it won't hold up in the tart pan. And then I'm going to add in a little bit of brown sugar and some melted butter. Now, I wanted to use coconut sugar, but I wasn't quite sure if it would hold up, so I went ahead and just used a good quality brown sugar and then added in the butter. And I also do a pinch of sea salt and just pulse that together once more until it's like the texture of sand. And then we can get that pressed into our tart pan. And I'm using about a 9.5 inch fluted tart pan. So the bottom can be removed and you can pop it out. But if you don't have a tart pan, you could also just assemble this in a baking dish, or even a sheet pan or like jelly roll pan would work. Now to get that nice packed in crust, because we really want it to hold up in our tart pan, that way we have a nice defined edge, what I like to do is take a measuring cup and I will press that in really firmly and then press it up the sides using my hand. Once it's nice and packed in, I put it in my preheated oven at 350 and I just cook it for about 8 to 10 minutes until it's nice and golden brown. Although it's hard to tell because they're already golden brown, but you can really smell it in the air once it starts getting just a little bit toasty. And then I'll take that out, put it on a cooling rack, and we want it to cool all the way down before we put in our filling so it doesn't melt. But while that's happening, I'll go ahead and start on this delicious filling for the strawberry tart. And really, you could use any kind of fruit with this because everything goes well with lemon, all different kinds of fruits I find. So first I'm starting by mixing up a little probiotic cream cheese and heavy cream and a little bit of mascarpone cheese. So I love mascarpone mixed with a cream cheese, but you could also just do one or the other. Just make sure that you don't overbeat the mascarpone because that can separate. It's a little different than cream cheese. So then I mix that together first, make sure it's nice and smooth, and then I dumped in my heavy cream and added just a couple tablespoons of powdered sugar to sweeten it up. You could also use another sweetener though, but I had a little bit of powdered sugar in my pantry that I needed to use up anyway. So I went ahead and threw that in, and next I'm measuring out my lemon curd. And of course you can make this homemade, but I also really love this brand. I don't pronounce it very well, so I'll spare you, but this brand has amazing jellies and their lemon curd is just out of this world. And since we only need about a half a cup or so, I'm just gonna go ahead and get that store-bought and add that into this delicious mixture. Just swirl it together until it's nice and smooth. If your mixture happens to get a little bit too thick, you can just add a couple more splashes of heavy cream and that will thin it out to the consistency that you want. But you want to make sure that it's firm enough to where it kind of holds up in your tart shell and doesn't just melt onto your plate. So I add in that lemon juice and I add in the lemon zest too, because I feel like it just brightens up the lemon curd and makes it even more tangy and a little more tart. And I love that tart bite mixed with all of the creamy components. I think it just really brightens it up. So once that mixture is done, it takes no time at all. I just hull my strawberries. So I'm just using this little tool I got, and it is so useful. This saved so much time. So I just hull those strawberries and then I'll slice them in half, or if they're really big, I'll quarter them. But I like to leave my strawberries a little bit chunky so they really hold up on top and you get a nice big bite of it. I find that if you do small slices of strawberries, they kind of start to get soggy a little bit and you don't get the same bite as you do from a nice chunky piece. So after that glorious crust has cooled, and let me tell you, that crust is so good. I feel like it'll be challenging to make any other crust now that I've tasted this one, but it is so good and I can't believe it's a healthier version. That just is amazing to me. So I'm going to spread all of that delicious filling in there and top it with the strawberries. And then I also like to take a few little slices of lemon and just twist them and put them on top for decoration. And that way you know there's lemon to it, and it's just a beautiful springtime springtime dessert. You could make this anytime all spring long, or switch up your fruit. Do blueberries, blackberries. When peaches are in season, you could do peaches instead. It's super versatile, super quick to put together, and a little bit healthier since we use a healthier crust, and then the filling is just a bunch of real whole food ingredients. So much better than buying one of the store-bought dessert options. Make this yourself and bring it to your next gathering. I hope that you enjoyed seeing today's video, and I will be sharing so much more garden content with you soon. I'm just now getting everything set up for the year, so you haven't missed out. I'm still going to be sharing all of that coming soon. So if it's encouraging to you or you feel inspired by it, let me know. I love to share and hear what you're excited to see. So I hope you guys try out these recipes today. They'll be at healthyelizabeth.com and link below in the description box. Thank you so much for joining me in the kitchen.